before we start, if you can hear me, please let me know in the comments. Give me a little thumbs up. If you can't hear me in the first few seconds of the video, let me know that too, because we have some questions. Okay, hey everybody, it is Luna. I am back with Thirst Trap News. Happy hump day. Lesbian blows the whistle on trans. Tranning. The mark of the beast. 1960s future guess. The Bolsheviks be bullshittin'. You won't believe this. Kamala's still a liar. MAGA getting arrested at TPUSA for talking Israel. So did Candace beat Macron? Palisade arson caught. Worst daycare owner ever. Fuck an ostrich. The problem with Jehovah's Witnesses. It's all about reaction time. Printers hate us. We don't deserve dogs. They're too good for humans. Women are just as skilled as men. Dance break. And Christianity is just witchcraft reskinned. Okay. So, next time I'm going to have my opening lines they need to be constantly held right here behind the light so I can read it. Otherwise, I won't be able to see anything. So the first video we're going to get into after today sucked, by the way. I had a horrible fucking shit day. The first video we're going to get into is lesbian blows the whistle on trans. Here we go.
Washington University in St. Louis. I am also a lifelong Democrat, a mom of 5 boys, 3 of whom were adopted out of the foster care system, and I'm a lesbian. I am also the public whistleblower from inside a pediatric gender center. I participated in transitioning nearly 1,500 unique patients who ranged in age from 3 to 26. Now I understand I participated in an industry that was based on fraud, deception, and in layman's terms, we were running a racket. Patients were treated using unethical and deceptive informed consent practices. They were minor patients. They had significantly presenting comorbidities, some even meeting the criteria for a legal medical disability. The entire diagnosis is based on regressive stereotypes and self-described feelings. For an assessment to be diagnostic, there must be a statistically significant number of patients who will not meet the diagnostic criteria. Parents and the public have been deceived into believing that these assessments are diagnostic.
Welcome to the chat, Baltimore, Randy, and Cash.
They're consistent, that they're comprehensive, and that no child is ever receiving treatment without one. But even if this field was completing a true biopsychosocial assessment and saying no to a significant percentage of the patient population, those who would be told yes would be homosexuals, and especially the gender nonconforming homosexuals. We would still be okay to be rendered sterile without sexual function, with destroyed endocrine systems, and be allowed to die early simply because we are gender nonconforming homosexuals. One of my patients, after her radical bilateral mastectomy at 19, called begging for her breast to be put back on. Another patient's intellectual function was so impaired that they could not identify to me where they lived or explain what type of identification they possessed. This patient even stated that they desired to have biological children, yet they were prescribed a treatment that would ultimately render them sterile for life. We as clinicians in the gender industry openly stated it does not matter.
So this is exactly what I was saying before when I told you about my experience getting my psych degree. It wasn't anything written in writing, but it was the culture where they were letting us know, hey, when they come in, all they have to do is just say that they're trans. They tell the public that there's diagnostic criteria, which there is diagnostic criteria to meet. But what she's saying, I'm not sure if I got through the whole video yet because they don't have the bar on my computer that lets me know if I went through the whole video. But what she's saying is they weren't actually going through the diagnostic period questions. Okay? They were just walking in to the doctor's office saying they were trans and immediately having hysterectomies, their balls whacked off, and their breasts cut off.
If patients even had gender dysphoria, if a patient said they were trans, then they were trans.
See?
Parents were unaware that patients were self-diagnosing, that clinicians had completely abandoned the diagnostic process entirely. Parents who didn't agree with our lies were isolated, abandoned by our centers, and we tore children apart from caring parents who told us no. Imagine if
tore children apart from caring parents that told them no. That's DCF, what she's talking about. I think California, New York, these governments that are Marxist in disguise, ripping their kids away for not wanting them to go through a sex change.
children went in self-declaring that they had a malignant cancer, if that child demanded to go through chemotherapy and surgery, that the clinicians would comply. This is precisely what we were doing in the Gender Center. What finally led me to speak up is that we significantly harmed our patients. We didn't just deceive them or their parents. I hurt the very children I was employed to protect. My name is Jamie Reed, and I hold a Master's of Science.
That's pretty heavy. You know, this Jamie Reed, the co-founder of LGBT Courage Coalition, she's a lesbian. She has adopted kids. She's clearly speaking truth because she's not a little carbon copy lesbian who just thinks I have to sit and parrot everything and fall in line. And no, this woman has a conscience. So I wonder what's going to happen to her in her career. I hope she really relies on social media at this point because they are probably going to stop her from being able to practice nursing, which is really sad. You know, I don't know if you caught my live from earlier today, but I was talking about that today. Just how with my own child, what I wanted was to address the root issue and the core cause psychologically and emotionally that would make you not want to be you. But they got to my daughter and stole her critical thinking because for me wanting to do that instead of be gender affirming, I am a horrible abusive mother. Okay, so let's look at the D-trans tranning. Yeah.
My name is Claire and I'm a detransitioner. A week after I turned 14 years old, I was put on testosterone by Dr. May Lau at Cook Children's Hospital in Dallas, Texas. 6 months later, Dr. Alan Doolin with the American Institute for Plastic Surgery in Plano performed a double mastectomy on me. I was too young to get a tattoo. I was too young to drive.
You can talk because they can't hear you. What does that even mean?
Someone who transitioned who wants to untransition, D-trans tranning.
I hadn't even learned algebra in high school yet. But I was old enough to choose to have healthy parts of my body electively amputated. I was sold a product.
Listen.
My name is Claire and I'm a detransitioner. A week after I turned 14 years old, I was put on testosterone by Dr. May Lau at Cook Children's Hospital in Dallas, Texas. 6 months later, Dr. Alan Doolin with the American Institute for Plastic Surgery in Plano.
What's up, Joe Collins? Thank you for joining. Joe ran for Congress and challenged Maxine Waters in California and sued her when she tried to claim that, you know, he wasn't really a veteran. So go, Joe. CMCD 47, Randy, Neil, Joe Collins the third again. Well, what? Oh no, yeah, that's just you sending me a hang loose emoji. Thank you, appreciate it.
Performed a double mastectomy on me.
Listen to her. Oh,
I was too young to get a tattoo. I was too young to drive. I hadn't even learned algebra in high school yet. But I was old enough to choose to have healthy parts of my body electively amputated. I was sold a product, medical transition, by professionals and institutions who told me that it would fix my distress and save my life. I was told that if I didn't do this, I would probably end up dead.
Right.
But here's what they didn't tell me. They didn't tell me.
She's trembling. She's so scared to tell the truth. She's so scared to say the reality. She's pushing through and showing courage because there's other kids that need, young adults that need saving from this woke mind virus.
That taking cross-sex hormones and undergoing major surgery at 14 years old could leave me with pelvic floor dysfunction and urinary incontinence, problems I have to manage now as a young adult.
The urinary incontinence, when you get a hysterectomy early in life, so your uterus, just a little quick health class, if you're a woman, holds up your bladder. Your bladder's actually, hanging tandem with it. And, your body's not even done growing. So now she's a teenager and young adult having to deal with incontinence issues. Also being on all those synthetic hormones shorten your lifespan. And I also want you to look right here. You see her hairline? Look at that poor baby. Her hairline receded from the testosterone. Her hair fell out. When I had to get on a little bit of testosterone after my hysterectomy, the same thing started and I quit immediately. So I'm not about to lose my hair. But look at the widening of her bones, the thickening of her bones. Look at that forehead. It's a very masculine forehead. You can see the jaw widened out because it doesn't fit the eye set or the positioning of the nose. Okay? You see how far the distance is between the widow's peak and the eyebrows? That's very masculine. She had extra bone growth. So now her looks, even if she stops, right, her looks are now forever altered. And she has to wear a mesh. Eventually she's going to have to get a mesh for her bladder to be held up because she doesn't have a uterus holding it up. And this is the sad reality. And you can hear how victimized she is. She's traumatized because her parents were too weak to be strong and be good parents. If I was in a state where I was at risk for my kid telling a school, oh, I'm trans, my parents won't let me, I would move out of that state. Do it. I don't care if your spouse doesn't agree. Leave them. Leave your stupid spouse. Take your kid to a state that's safe. Cash asks, question, why would one take testosterone after a hysterectomy? Couple reasons. One, to speed up the healing. And two, to encourage my estrogen to increase because I had one ovary left. So higher testosterone would, in essence, raise your estrogen eventually, and that's what we needed. We needed my passive ovary to wake up, which it did. So
I'm only 20 years old. They didn't tell me that these
She's
complications are common enough to be known risks, and yet they were hidden from me at an age where I didn't even understand what these terms meant, let alone the impact they would have on my daily life. And it doesn't stop there. When I tried to warn others by leaving honest reviews on my surgeon's websites, describing my regret, the complications, the lack of real informed consent, my reviews were deleted. Think about that.
Yep.
A surgeon permanently altered my healthy body when I was a middle school student, and then erased my negative feedback to protect his reputation. If that doesn't sound like fraud, I don't know what does. Mm-hmm. In any other context, selling a medical product in this way, with half-truths and hidden side effects, would be considered fraud. If a pharmaceutical company pushed a drug on children without disclosing the lifelong damage it can cause, they would be sued out of existence. If a cosmetic surgeon buried evidence of complications, they would be shut down. But when it comes to gender medicine, it's not just allowed, it's celebrated. And anyone who asks questions is called hateful. Every week I hear from more young men and women like me, people who are convinced as kids or as teenagers that the only way to survive was to become a lifelong medical patient. We now live with the irreversible consequences, the scars, the side effects, the pain, and the grief. And we watch helplessly as the same professionals and clinics keep selling
Aw.
the same product to the next generation of vulnerable kids while silencing those of us who speak out. My name is Claire, and I'm a detransitioner. A week after.
You know what? If you're in a state that rips kids away from their parents for not wanting to transition their minor children, you need to demand that these social workers, leaders, legislators are held accountable criminally because they participated in medical injury. And every doctor that has participated in this, it will be my lifelong goal till I die to find every single one of them. I don't care when the trend stops. I don't care. I'm going to continue, and I'm going to make sure that we get legislation that prosecutes these people, because we already have legislation that they can fall under. That's medical malpractice, and it led to medical injury. So I'm sorry, but they need to go to jail. They literally, these are abusers with power, with scalpels. This is all insane. And they were so excited for it because guess what? Ooh, automatic affirming. Guess what I get to charge for this surgery? Yay, free money. So yeah, we need to demand that all these freaking doctors that gave in to the extreme Democratic left be imprisoned and castrated. Eye for eye. All right, let's talk about the mark of the beast.
In the specific case of the mark of the beast described in Revelation, it's a mark without which you cannot conduct commerce. So basically everyone's compelled to receive the mark, but those who receive the mark make a big mistake in receiving it. Right. And they are punished for it in a big way. So if we get to a place in the next couple of years where you can't participate digitally in commerce or in communications without the mark of the beast, without the permanent mark on the blockchain, like what's your option?
I mean, your option is just not to conduct business and do those things. I mean, God will find a way for those people, even if it's the end of their lives. That's just the way that's going to shake down. What'll probably happen too is you will have people in tech, and I know they exist, who are alarmed by this, who will intentionally devise ways around this for people. Similar to people creating catacombs for the persecuted Christians in the early days of the Roman Empire, you will have people who will find ways around this to hack it. I've got a friend, Tucker, who he's become a Christian in recent years, and he works for some of the big companies. And he said, he goes, some of the stuff that you see cannot be explained through normal math, material stuff. Some of the stuff that's coming through.
Coming through from AI.
Yeah.
It's demonic. That's what
in the specific case of the mark of the beast
field. Okay, there are spirit entities coming through on this AI. Look, we all know it's coming. The digital chip. You need to resist. Why do you think I keep saying learn to grow gardens, collect rainwater, learn to raise and breed animals, learn to hunt, learn to fish, learn to start fire, learn how to woodwork. Just be curious about being self-sufficient without electronic technology. You know, challenge yourself to go, rent a tiny house, on some acreage for a month and just walk around the forest and learn what you can eat and practice making foods out of the natural wild vegetation. It's really important because it is coming a time when those of us that resist the NWO and the one world government will be come after and our freedom be threatened. And we're going to keep going with some more stuff because this is going to connect to like the Bolsheviks that we're going to talk about later. And this idea of concentration camps, like where it actually came from. But that's what's coming, and you will be nothing more than an animal in a zoo. So, I'm kind of hoping for the rise up time when we can, exact our Second Amendment rights upon our tyrannical government who's trying to force us into a dystopian city where you can't leave the outer fences. I mean, I saw this in my psych book. It was made in the 50s. Dubai has already practiced it. And I can't see your hands. You're way into my blind spot. But they're already testing it. But it's these dystopian cities with a perimeter around it, right? And somewhere there's a grocery store. Somewhere there's a car lot. Somewhere in there's your job is assigned to you. You wake up, go to bed when they tell you. You eat what they tell you. There's a laundromat inside there. There's security cameras every 20 feet or something like that. And at the time, this was in the 50s, so I'm sure that, it wouldn't look similar with the cameras. They were bulky in the image, whatever, and they had them every 25 feet because of range. But now the technology is a lot better. But it's totally an encapsulated city, and they're planning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 super cities for the country, and then pushing everyone into those super cities, and then taking the land, all the rural land, and making it a no-go zone. So you'll take a test. It'll determine whether you're a garbage collector or you're a nurse. Everyone gets paid the same no matter what your job is. You get told what to go to school for. I mean, it's full-on communism. The whole world is trying to move there. So we must resist. We must be ungovernable. We must be ungovernable in the name of your natural rights, your God-given rights. Okay, so since we are talking about something that was developed in the 50s, that's trying to be rolled out, let's look at the 1960s future guess. Don't even understand what that means.
I don't think there is going to be atomic warfare, but I think that there is going to be all this automation. I think it'll be people will be regarded more as statistics than as actual people.
I don't think it's going to be so nice. I think sort of all machines everywhere, everyone doing everything for you. You'll get all bored, and I don't think it'll be so nice.
I think it's going to be very boring. And everything will be the same. I mean, people will be the same, and things will be the same.
First of all, those computers are taking over now. Computers and automation. And in the year
By the way, this video is real. This is not an AI video. The accents, if you listen, are exactly appropriate for the 1960s. That's that kind of heavier, transatlantic influence. You could just tell in the way they talk. Also, I've seen this video when I was in university for psychology, so this is a real video. This is kids from the 1960s guessing what it would be like in the year 2000 after everything they learned on kind of where the future of America was headed, and that smart city initiative that Cash just mentioned, that I just mentioned, was likely what they were discussing.
2000, there just won't be enough jobs to go around, and the only jobs there will be for people with high HQ, high IQ, who can work computers and such things, and other people are just not going to have jobs. There just aren't going to be jobs for them to have.
I don't think there is going to be atomic warfare, but I think that there is going to be all...
Oops. So they only showed the English kids, but so yeah, I wanted to show you guys this video because go back to the video and pause.
I don't think there is going to be...
The account is called They're Watching Us, which is so appropriate, because in this such scenario, you will have absolutely no privacy. You will have, it's like going to be on a Imperial ship on Star Wars. You have a trash can walk up to you, roll up to you. Digital IDs. They talked about that in this film. You can't see it all in this segment that I've grabbed for you, but they talked about machines controlling decisions, so referring to AI, and a society where people are not trusted and they just have to be watched at every given moment. And why would they not be trusted? Well, because they know they're being oppressed. they're probably looking to escape every chance they get. It's a prison. It's just a prison with fancy bells and whistles. So, yeah, I mean, and they mentioned the digital IDs back then. They mentioned emotional control through media, rhythm, and repetition. So that's the AI in social media. And then, you just move AI further into making calculated decisions on what your jobs are, what you eat, who you bunk with, what area of the smart city you're allowed to go to and who you're not allowed. It's going to get segregated again. There's a lot of things that are going to come back with this. And, I think the spirit of rebellion should get heavier and heavier. We are independent. We have a spirit of independence. I like to say a spirit of rebellion, though, because don't tread on me, motherfucker. Give me liberty or give me death. Okay, so now we're just going to transition into why the Bolsheviks be bullshitting, folks.
About that, tell me what is Yagoda and what happened with the Bolsheviks and the Christians?
Oh, you just casually killed 10 million Christians. It's incredible. People think that the greatest mass murderer was Adolf Hitler. And no, actually, if you want to talk about genocide, the fact that people in America don't know about what the Bolsheviks did to Christians, where did the idea of a concentration camp come from? The Bolsheviks. The reason why we're not allowed to learn about these people, we don't talk about Henry Yagoda, is because he's a Jew. Right? And so it conflicts with the narrative of Jewish people always being the victim in every single circumstance. So we're willing to push away Christian history. We don't talk about Christian history whatsoever because they have this bizarre focus, our classrooms, on training us to have this bizarre allegiance to Israel. And so to suit us, I feel that we are heavily propagandized in the classroom. And the reason why I feel that way is because we spend years talking about the Holocaust, only for me to learn when I'm out of school about a bigger Holocaust that took place at the exact same time. We were locking arms with Stalin. I mean, you read Alexander Solzhenitsyn talking about the gulags and who built those gulag systems, who created those gulag systems. The majority of them, he eventually wrote a book, were Jewish men. And of course, this has not become collective guilt. Doesn't mean all Jews are Bolsheviks and think this way. But the fact that I'm denied the right to talk about my history while you demand I talk about yours and you demand that I worship Israel doesn't fly with me. I'm just sick and tired of the subjugated Christian. I'm sick and tired of the tail in between your leg Christian that is like Israel first and then I'll get to the New Testament. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm uncomfortable with it. And that was probably the first time in that entire interview that Piers shut up because he knows I'm right. It's utterly ridiculous to come to a Christian and say, have you used your platform to talk about Israel? Do you think that he would go to a Jewish person and say, have you used your platform to talk about Armenia? And if the answer is no, then why not? It's because what has happened is that it's not an equal system. No, it's not equality. They are treated, Israel as a country is treated with special interests. And I gotta say about Israel, just looking at the history there, I mean, this is our greatest ally, as they say. That's the program. This is our greatest ally. I mean, with allies like that,
tiny country.
enemies.
She's talking a lot, but she's not wrong, guys. Historians actually estimate that around 12 to 20 million Christians were killed.
I think it was
12 to 20 million. Why am I just now hearing about this?
on the upper end of that.
About that, tell me.
Why are you just now hearing about this? Because you didn't grow up a Jehovah's Witness like me. See, I had to learn about this. And so, being a Jehovah's Witness on the outside, this is not a Jehovah's Witness Bible. I'll have to dig one up. This one just says Holy Bible, the King James Version. They had to take the words Holy Bible off of their Bible sometime in the 20th century because they were sued. They were sued because of how many different edits there were in it. So theirs just says the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. They don't have it on the shelf. And so I was acutely aware reading the Bible every year of my life front to back how the first half of the Bible is all about the line of David, the Jewish people, which the word Israel at the time was a holy name given to them. It wasn't an actual country at the time, but I was asking the same questions as her a long time ago. Like, why is everything that we believe, why do all these standards we live as Jehovah's Witnesses like basically follow like orthodox, more like orthodox, you know, doctrine? It was much more like being Jewish than being Christian, because we still had to observe the laws in the Old Testament, and you know, they believe they're God's chosen people, so they have this like full-on agenda. And I've seen Hasidic Jews in interviews saying that they believe that anybody who's not a Jew or Jewish, they're not deserving of life. So I think it's really important that we question like why would our schools take out the salute to our flag and yet talk so much about every other country but ours. You know, there's no patriotism left. It's been painted as extreme nationalism and Nazism, when really it kind of seems like the Jewish state is the ones acting that way. In fact, as she brought out, she's not wrong. They are the ones that started concentration camps before they were ever put in one. And if you actually go back and start to read the German propaganda and listen to what Hitler was actually saying, he addresses a lot of these things about the Jewish population. Now, the Jewish people, I have no issue with. It's the state of Israel politically I have an issue with. But yeah, what they're doing to Gaza, they've done this before, and they did it to the Christians. And there are tons of Christians dying right now over in Gaza. I think it's on purpose. I think they're really, there's a lot of like Muslim in Palestine, but there's also, I don't know if it's Muslim in Palestine. I think it is. But there's also a lot of Christians there. And, well, if you're Christian or Muslim, well, that goes against their narrative about being God's chosen people. So you kind of can see a theme here. Especially when it comes to how it's a Jewish family that runs the entire field of medical and the entire field of education and the entire field of entertainment. I mean, it's predominantly all owned by people that are dual citizens with U.S. and America. So if your media is teaching your kids to chop off their genitals and sterilize them, well, I wonder who it is. I mean, it's literally like, it's not literal concentration camps, but it's figurative. You know, they're sterilizing our youth. No, the Old Testament is not the New Testament. But the Old Testament, you know, to me, always had a lot of examples of a God that was angry and jealous and bloodthirsty and committed genocides all the time, and up until we get to Matthew. So moving on off the Bolsheviks. So please go do some more research on the Bolsheviks and how they're important to Christian history. You need to know, and then you need to do a deep dive on who they married and how they spread out. But folks, switching gears, you're not going to believe this. Kamala Harris is still a liar. Are you shocked?
And here's the other thing that is quite unprecedented. And it was the tightest, closest presidential election in the 21st century.
Bitch, you didn't win one motherfucking swing state. Let me show you something. You didn't even get to almost. You not even Brandy, bitch. Almost doesn't count, and you not even fucking Brandy.
She said this was the closest race of all time. If you look at the map there, she didn't get any of the swing states. None. Zero. In fact, what you're looking at on this map, okay, is the precursors to a secession. If we have a secession, this is what the map will look like right here. right here. You see, you've got the West, Washington, Oregon, California. That makes sense, right? Then you've got Colorado and Nevada. All right. And if you look over at Missouri, just to the north east of Colorado, you got one electoral vote. One. Okay. And all those swing states, nothing. So you got the northeast corner all the way from Virginia, the whole DMV, obviously, and then New York all the way up to New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island, all of that. That is what, now, if you look at Illinois and North Dakota, is that North Dakota? No. I got Illinois, North Dakota, South Dakota. Okay, one with number 10, I'm not sure if that one's North Dakota or if the ones with 3s is North and South Dakota. But it'd be really curious to see what happens there. But if you follow this line right here, okay, that map I was telling you about with the 5 mega cities, super cities. Sorry, they call them mega cities. They're positioned like this. So you have one here. Okay. LA is not in it. You have one that goes around like this. Then you've got another one that goes around like this. And then you have one that goes like this. And then you have one that's like this. Florida's not in it. Florida, and then there's a pathway that goes like this. And then this area, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So you have basically where you see all the red states except Florida is where they want to take all the land. And then kind of near Atlanta, they've, the CDC's there. So they've got, basically the biggest super city over here on the East Coast in all the way over to the dead center in the United States, which comes to here. Everything else they're taking, and they don't want you to have access to those lands.
Randy, you want a participation trophy so motherfucking bad. Well, they don't hand that shit out. You either won or you fucking lost. Stupid motherfucker. Nigga always gonna, man, I almost won. How you almost won some shit you lost?
And here's the other thing.
Look at that.
Is quite unprecedented.
Look at her.
And
she's gonna stand up and make you see.
It was the tightest, closest presidential election in the 21st century.
First of all, the 21st century just began, kind of. So let's just say that. But she stood up with all the confidence in the world, and just you hear all these people just cheering, don't know their facts, just a bunch of women that are just like, oh yay, we have a woman. And I just don't even understand how she has a full audience, because you can't listen to her talk. She doesn't say anything important. But I want to go back to the beginning of the video.
You didn't win
could.
one
I don't know how
motherfucking swing state.
But I hope you saw the map at the beginning. I mean, that's a secession if I ever saw one. You look at that. Look at that. You're right, Democrats. No kings. That's called the popular motherfucking vote, folks. They don't want any more illegals draining our bank accounts. They don't want any more kids being kidnapped to be sold across the border. They don't want any more stabbings. They don't want any more of the fear that they've had to live in from all of the... When Trump tells you these are criminals, they are. These countries that got rid of all these people that were coming from these countries, they weren't wanted in the other countries, minus, a small percentage of them. But these kids that were coming with these people through all means, all around the border, which, by the way, our northern border is not secure. But but these kids were all trafficked and not even their family members. So if you look at this map, I mean, this map is just beautiful to watch. I have to see. I haven't seen this, and I mean, it was close like this the first time that Trump won. The second time it looked like this, and then they cut the TV off. I don't know if you remember that. They put blinders up on the windows so you couldn't see what was going on. But he won the popular vote then too. He did. And the Electoral College turned their back on Trump. They were all paid, and Pence was a plant to affirm the Electoral College. But you can even just see in this, I mean, this is a secession. If we got enough momentum going, we could cause one. Because people are realizing it is not about Donald Trump. It is about Americans first. That's what it's about. Okay. So, Kamala. I think she's just trying to, get drum up business for, you gotta hold it like out here, you can't see, for her book, which I'm sure sucks. Let's look at another video. This is a MAGA getting arrested at TPUSA. A MAGA, okay, getting arrested at Turning Point USA. We're talking about Israel.
Asking questions, folks. Just asking questions. Let me ask you a question. I'm looking at your background. I noticed that the stand is at the door. I understand there is a wave of, you could call it anti-Semitism. I don't call it that. I call it anti-Zionism. Why am I looking at a background with the
I like that a lot better. He articulates all of this stuff so much more classy than I ever could, because I'm a Spitfire, and I'm like, the berserker you send out in the war. It's like, just let that one out. That one's just gonna go fucking nuts. Just get out of the way. He is so eloquent, and I love how he's distinguishing what I was trying to say earlier. It's not the people like of Israel, the Israelites. I have no problem with them. It's the Zionists. And you do have to kind of read the Bible to understand what that term Zionism really actually is.
American flags all around it. American rowel in America. You don't have an answer?
No, I do. Yeah. Seriously, so I think we need to support our Jewish people.
I have no problem with Jewish people. I have an issue with Zionists.
Yeah.
There's a difference in my mind. Do you believe there's a difference?
I think God has promised Jewish people.
That's a theological argument, and I am a Christian, but I'm talking about foreign policy. That doesn't really track with me. There's a land and there's a government. Israel is a land. You're claiming Israel is a government as well, and because of a Bible, I have to worship Israel or defend Israel. I don't see how that's a solid ground for any type of argument.
How would you support, Israel?
I've supported Israel my entire life. My great-grandfather killed Nazis. My mother's doctor was a Holocaust survivor. My shooting instructor taught Israeli pilots how to fly. The same pilots that might have bombed the USS Liberty. Actually, that's not might have. You all admitted to that. You admitted to the Lavon affair. You admitted to the 1967 USS Liberty. The only two things that Israel would not admit to is the assassination of JFK or any involvement in 9/11. But you have admitted to the Lavon affair, where you put bombs in mail parcels and sent them to the Egyptian embassies of the UK and the USA to make it look like Egypt did it. You've admitted to that. Your prime minister resigned because of that.
Dumbfounded.
I guess so. Well, that's like you just said.
Yeah, many of them. We stripped their bodies. We took their medals. We and we have their helmets. My family killed Nazis, a lot of them. And I grew up pro-Israel my entire life. But what I don't understand is, how can I sit by on televised screens and watch children bombed indiscriminately? And You say 50,000, but have you dug under the rubble? There's more bodies under it. Wouldn't you agree? Under Gaza.
Where?
There's rubble. It's a wasteland. And they say 50,000. You know how many terrorists you killed, but you don't know how many women and children. How can you count the terrorists, but you can't count the women and children, of which are not just Muslims, but Christians and Catholics? I don't. Let me tell you this. Asking questions, folks. Just asking questions. Let me ask you a question. I'm looking at your background.
This question
I noticed that the stand is at the door. I understand there is a wave of, you could call it anti-Semitism, I don't call it that, I call it anti-Zionism. Why am I looking at a background with the Israeli flag in the middle, with American flags all around it, and American rowel in America?
It's a valid question. You go into a Turning Point USA convention expecting that you're going to have open discourse and dialogue so that people can come meet to the center, and in the center of all the flags is the Israeli flag and then the U.S. flags on the side. It's literally legislation that when you fly your flag, American flag, you put it in first position from the viewer's perspective. Duh. And he got arrested at a Turning Point USA event. So pay attention to Turning Point USA. I had it in my video yesterday about how I was suspicious of the guy that took over Charlie's show, because just go back and watch that video. But yeah, pay attention to Turning Point. Charlie was turning down some money from AIPAC. And they wanted to put in this huge amount so they could control all of TPUSA, so they could control the narrative and make sure that everybody is Israel first. It's really sad to see a MAGA, America First person getting arrested at a TPUSA convention. So TPUSA, I call on you to pay for his bail, if he had any. You need to pay for his bail because he was there to support the cause Charlie fought for. He was there to support Americans before Israel. You can be pro-Israel, but be America first. You can. And you should pay his bail, and you should pay for his lawyer to get that expunged. So, since we are talking about TPUSA, it's a perfect time for us to talk about Candace and her beef with Macron. So, then Macron sued her and a few other people for saying that she's a man, which was discovered by French journalists that work with genealogists. So, did Candace beat Macron in her legal battle? Let's find out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's how it started, and this is how it's going. Check out this headline. We are trending all over France. This is huge news. The women who claimed Brigitte Macron was born a man are cleared of defamation because that's how the truth works. It's amazing that they even initially got convicted because of corruption, of defaming the French First Lady. It was this false conviction that the media then touted out as a win, saying, see, she's not born a man. But that actually wasn't what was at root of the case, as many of you guys know that have been following the series. Anyways, what has happened today is that the judges that were sitting at the Paris Appeal Court on Thursday ruled that Amandine Roy, that is the 53-year-old clairvoyant, and Natasha Ray, and she has been absolutely fantastic. She's a 49-year-old journalist, blogger, and researcher that teamed up and first and foremost put Xavier Poussard onto this story when he was having trouble even finding basic facts about Brigitte. And she said, yeah, that's because Brigitte was born Jean-Michel Tragno.
Jean-Michel Tragno.
So now the court has ruled that they had every legal right to make those allegations. More specifically, Brigitte brought the case in regards to a 4-hour YouTube video broadcast where the two of these ladies were sitting down. And Brigitte is alleging that there were 18 instances of defamation. Well, the court has ruled that those 18 instances did not constitute defamation, or they were based in good faith. And like I explained throughout the series, they were never attacking, Brigitte was never attacking the claim that she was born a man. She was being super petty and trying to get them on a technicality of defamation for misspeaking. You know, they tried this with me. Oh, you said this photo was recolorized, but it wasn't actually recolorized. and then trying to get someone into the courtroom, and then the judge says, oh yeah, it wasn't recolorized. And you go, oh, look, we won. It was defamation to suggest that this photo was recolorized when it wasn't. That was the game that they were playing so that they could give the journalists something to tout out as a win. Now they've come back and said, you know what? That's not enough. Okay, that is actually not enough. These women did not defame you. And so their lawyers were cheering outside of court. I can't imagine what it feels like for Natasha Ray and Amandine Roy. Natasha Ray got sick with cancer throughout this. Brigitte did not care, has been attacking these women for being the first to expose what is so obviously true. And it's a major win. That's all we can really say. Both of these women had claimed that they were subjected throughout this time to intimidation by the authorities, by these ultra-protected members of the Paris establishment, these sick, perverted members of the Paris establishment that were trying to cover up a state secret. Why does it feel like this is happening everywhere in the world? Why does it feel like some perverted individuals are actually running the...
Before she gets into that, I just have to say, I didn't think that Brigitte Macron looked like a man. Honestly, the frame is so small. The neck is so small and long. Men typically have shorter necks, broader necks. Women have longer, narrower necks. I just thought it was a woman with really bad plastic surgery because her nose looks, overdone and like turned upward now. And that's all I ever really noticed. Maybe the nose was just so distracting. I didn't notice like other things. But once Candace started talking about this, I started looking and I'm just like, I don't know. There's a lack of hips, but the hands are dainty, the neck's dainty, everything's dainty. But to be fair, I've really never seen a large French man, to be honest. So maybe that's just not in their, genetics. But I just thought this story was funny because we really had someone that just thought that her position of power would work with, the shut up thing. And you can't do that with Candace. And so she decided to sue her and freaking won. I mean, Candace won.
In the entire globe. Anyways, lawyers for Brigitte have said that they are devastated by this ruling, that they plan to take this now to the highest court in the French judicial system. And let me tell you, they're going to lose. Because Brigitte Macron is a man, was born a man, and so therefore she will die a man. Doesn't matter whether you put on lipstick on a pig, it will still die a pig. Brigitte and her team, like I was telling you, are just, they have been so vengeful and so disgusting. And at the end of the day, Natasha Ray was positively in the right in this scenario. And so congratulations to her.
What's up, Susie Q, Mike Lopez? Cash is saying from the last video, the girl taping the black female in the small window was asked to leave after that exchange. I'm sure she was asked to leave because she documented the entire thing and clearly was on the side of the person who was just exercising their free speech.
Congratulations to their entire team, and congratulations to people that just have the courage to keep going. To keep going when the entire world is pressuring you and the journalists are out there like assassins and ninjas, trying to defame you, trying to caricature you as an unhinged, crazy, loony person simply because you are telling the truth about who these elites actually are. Yeah, major win for all of those heroes out there in the world. And it's time for Brigitte to stop harassing women in general. Men should not be harassing women, full stop. She harassed me. I was pregnant, sending people to my door. Just cut it out, okay?
Yeah, don't stop. It took only a month of me doing live streams for them to, the committee of they, the establishment, the American mafia, to start poking around about me because they're terrified I'm going to run for office again. They know exactly who I am. I'm a Garner. And I was challenging a Rutherford. And they knew, you want to talk about being followed your whole life? Yeah. When you have a grandfather whose uncle was the vice president and their lives overlapped, yeah, your whole family's watched. They knew, obviously, we were kicked out of the establishment, the old skull and crossbones, because we're too ungovernable. Free speech, free thinking. You have agency. Yeah, they're after me. She's not wrong. They started up already, poking around, asking people, so that way those people would call me and be like, do you know they're calling and asking me about you? And I was like, yeah, well, you can tell that person who called asking to see if I was running that the only thing I'm running for is to kick his motherfucking ass. So keep on. All right. Palisade arson caught. Let's get into this one. Yeah, I just talked about Newsom yesterday. So here we go. This was today.
Today, we are announcing the arrest of 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht for igniting a fire that ultimately burned down the Palisades earlier this year, killing 12 people, destroying more than 6,800 structures, both homes and businesses, and damaging over 1,000 more buildings. The complaint unsealed today charges the defendant with destruction of property. Today, we are announcing the arrest of 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht for igniting a fire that ultimately burned down the Palisades earlier this year, killing...
I think this is another patsy, because I just talked about this yesterday, and I was starting to realize that I don't think, or maybe the day before, I don't think that these Palisades fires were natural. I think they were on purpose. And if I'm figuring that out, other people are figuring that out. No, just as soon as I say something, boom, we have a suspect in custody, Mr. Jonathan Rinderknecht, for allegedly starting the blaze that burned the Palisades down. Do you believe him? Do you believe this? With everything that's happened with Charlie Kirk, do you believe what they're saying? Because I don't think our DOJ or FBI has all of the snakes out of the pit. And I don't know if I believe this.
Killing 12 people, destroying more than 6,800 structures, both homes and businesses, and damaging over 1,000 more buildings. The complaint unsealed today charges the defendant with destruction of property by means of fire, a felony that carries a mandatory minimum 5-year federal prison sentence and is punishable by up to 20 years in federal prison. Today, we are...
They got the wrong guy. They should have arrested Gavin Newsom. That's who they need to arrest. Because nobody has gotten the money that Newsom raised to rebuild their homes. And they're talking about plans of putting up duplexes on top of these homes that people have paid for, that picked out, that plan to have grandkids in and every holiday till they die. You know, California is a beautiful place. There's a lot of people that really had not only their lives destroyed, but their hearts shattered. And the government's not even letting them put their houses up. And those that do have the money to put the house up, they're just coming up with every single, what do you call those? Like applications that you put in with the city, like permits, building permits. They're making them come up with building permit after building permit after building permit, and just delaying the process as long as they can in order to put up homes for all these illegals. But like I said, if they secede from the country, they can go fucking do whatever they want. You know, have their little country of criminals, you know, that broke the law, coming over, stealing the dream away from those who are waiting in line, doing it properly, learning our laws, learning our language, learning our constitution, learning our culture, what's appropriate in public and what's not appropriate in public. You know, just skipping that line. You know, and like California is hiring people to do CDL and truck drive without even having a license. When they go to get their license, they ask them what their name is, and they say, they give them some sort of like response that's like none supplied or whatever. They just accept it. You do that here in Florida, you will not get a license. Like, period. You won't. So they can just have their freaking smart cities in California while they continue to try to normalize pedophilia. See, people don't realize the whole trans movement, by the way, it's not even about trans. It's not even what it's about. This is about legalizing pedophilia, because if we can make it culturally acceptable for kids to choose their gender, well, then eventually the next step is, oh, well, then it's acceptable for them to decide who they are intimate with. That's what this is all about. And there's a certain group. It starts with N. I can't remember. It's based in California. But they're the ones that started with their PAC money, putting out all the trans ads during the lockdown when our kids were on remote learning. Okay, all because one woman wanted to flip the hell out. In fact, I should get my cousin-in-law to come on here with, let me see if I can tag him in the chat. You know what I'm going to do for another show? I'm going to get my cousin-in-law and his husband, Billy, to see if they want to come do a show with me, because I think you guys would absolutely love what they have to say. I think you would, they would be very enlightening, because they know a lot about the woman that was throwing a temper tantrum everywhere during COVID and got all this trans stuff, being like pop culture, mainstream media, coolest thing to do now. It's all to legalize pedophilia. Okay? That's what it's all about. Which, by the way, I haven't got to this point in the Talmud yet, but I hear that in the Talmud it says that they're allowed to have sex with anyone who's not a Jew starting from the age of 3. That is perfectly fine. Epstein, Weinstein, Berg. Okay, now let's look at the worst daycare owner ever. And I really hope this doesn't incite me to violence and break my computer, because I really don't like seeing children get abused. And I hope my producer isn't setting me up to cry with all of this beautiful makeup on.
A Georgia daycare owner is behind bars after police say her dogs mauled a 2-year-old boy to death while she was napping. Authorities in Valdosta say 48-year-old Stacy Cobb left toddler Kamir Jones unsupervised for over 2 hours. And during that time, he somehow let her 2 Rottweilers out of a kennel and was fatally attacked. Cobb's daycare was unlicensed. She now faces charges of second-degree murder and cruelty to children. The dogs have since been seized and the investigation is ongoing. Download Fox Local for live streaming, news, and more.
Oh boy. Y'all are about to find out another side of me. So I'm a hobby breeder. Shut the fuck up, Pete. I don't want to hear it. I'm a hobby breeder. I breed working and show dogs. I have 2 separate lines. Some are models and absolutely, built for the show ring, but not very bright. But my other ones are working dogs, which means they guard and protect property and home. My breed that I breed, it's not a very old breed, it's one of the newest ones, but one of the breeds used to develop the giant class of the breed that I have, were Mastiffs. And before I get into explaining about what Mastiffs are, okay, behavior and temperament, I would really love to take this opportunity as a, 40-year dog owner and on farm life, hobby farm life, and a small business farm as well. Here's the reality of it. It's too easy for people to go get dogs. Like, it's way too easy. They're not teddy bears. People humanize their animals. Okay, a dog, signaled by the teeth and the forward-facing eyes, are predators. They will do predator things, and they will do dog things. and your dogs are not teddy bears. And I see too often moms and dads recording and TikToking it, how cute it is that their kid is climbing all over this dog. Meanwhile, the dog's like licking its chops nonstop, which is a sign of annoyance. A low wag, which is a sign of annoyance. And completely allowing these children to like invade these predators on the ends of our leashes, their personal space. Well, a dog is going to look at your child like a puppy, okay? And if you don't correct your puppy, your dog will correct the baby human. And it's going to do it in the way a dog does it. So the reason why the predator thing comes into play is because you need to understand that you have a predator in your home and it is at risk to killing anything at any point if it has teeth. If it's a chihuahua, okay, maybe some mice might be at risk, but you know, your eyelids, your lips, your nose, your toes, your fingers. We need to stop humanizing our animals, number one, and not everybody should be a dog owner because what a Rottweiler is a Mastiff breed, and I'm going to explain about the Mastiffs. Mastiffs were bred foundationally to be what we call HA in the breeding community, human aggressive. Why is that? Because they were working dogs used to guard against other humans. So, in their DNA, they have a propensity to be, especially Rottweilers, to be aloof of strangers. They're not interested in making friends. And Mastiffs do not think Cane Corso, Italian Mastiff, American Mastiff, English Mastiff. They do not tolerate, they're not very patient with being bothered. They're not pets. These are working dogs. If you want a lap dog or a dog you don't have to worry about, you know, get yourself a tiny little dog that doesn't run any risk. But I guarantee you what happened was these kids were doing something. Maybe the kids were fighting or the kids were bothering the dog. And, you know, look at the size of a Mastiff. And even if the dog was not meaning to kill the kid, it's going to do some damage if it was going in for a heavy correction. So most of the time when I will assist people with training their dogs, like it's just a charity. But most of the time I'm not even training the dog. There's very little that goes into training it's training the people. That number one, stop expecting your animals to act like people. They don't think like people. They're animals. They're dogs. It will think like a dog. So if you can't watch your kids, if you want to take a nap, you lazy bitch, bring your kids in the room with you. Put your dogs in a crate. By the way, for all of you who are like, oh, it's so cruel to have your dog in a crate. Okay, yeah, I get it. Not 24/7. But there are times where you need to quarantine your dog 2-3 weeks at a time, or you're going out of town. Your dog doesn't really like strangers so much, or your dog as a pack animal needs to, one, not forget his natural instinct about a den. They're den animals. They need a private, quiet place to go. Number two, it is used to teach boundaries because within a pack, and the dog looks at you as in itself as part of your pack. So kennels are for boundaries, kennels are for timeout, kennels are for naps, kennels are for safety, not just for the people, but also for the animal. Okay, so all of my dogs, 7 of them, they are crate trained. They are also a breed that's very hard to housebreak because they have very heavy bull breed ancestry. So the den aspect is what reinforces the notion of we don't potty where we sleep. The house is a den. Smaller dogs look at the house as like their world because they're so tiny. So especially for smaller dogs and especially for really big dogs, it is not cruel to crate your dog. Your dog is naturally in the wild going to seek out a box, a hole, a cave, underneath a tree, any sort of den. That is natural. So stop being fucking idiot dog owners. Like, your dogs are not humans. They're dogs. And if you can think of and learn dog behaviors, it's easier to mitigate these kinds of situations and never letting something like this happen. Be a responsible pet owner. My animals are not spayed or neutered. Do you think I let the females all out unsupervised together? No. Do you think I let all the males out all together by myself without my husband home? Absolutely not. Do you think I have all the dogs out during feeding time? Absolutely not. Because there's something called pack behavior. So, crates. My dogs learn pecking order. We eat first. You eat after me. You are not taking each other's food. There was a guy killed by a bunch of his bully. He had a bunch of 6-month-old bully puppies, and he was feeding them all at the same time with them all roaming free. 2 of them started fighting over the food. He goes in to break up the fight. He gets bit, and then the rest of the dogs, pack mentality takes over, and they're all attacking him, and he is dead in his yard for 5 days before somebody ever notices. They never touched his body after that because I don't think they meant to kill him. Okay? But crates are a must when you have large dogs. Put them in there when you can't pay attention to them. Okay? And don't let your dog run around loose, because you have a breed, a heavy bone, heavy mastiff breed. If it's running around and another dog picks a fight with it, and your dog goes and whoops ass because it's built for that, but it didn't start the shit, you're the bad guy. So, kennel training them. And if you need help being encouraged and rooted on through your kennel training, please message me. I will FaceTime you, and we will do some training exercises together, and I will help you, because I truly do love helping with behavior problem dogs. I have a page called Mystic Moon Bullies on Instagram. You should go check it out, and TikTok. But if you need help, message me. I will help you with your dog, because, I don't want to see things like this happen. It's really sad that this happened to these kids. They probably weren't taught proper boundaries when it comes to being around carnivore teeth. Ugh, God, really grinds my gears. But hey, fucking ostrich, folks. Next video.
Time to go to Silly Town.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Silly Town now.
Before fucking ostrich, I forgot to add it. Racist cat. Let me show you racist cat.
Well, producer Ryan wants to show us racist cat first.
Is this cat racist?
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh my God.
It feels like it.
Whoa.
Yeah. But here's the thing. A black cat can say it, right? Because
right.
And the owner's black.
Right. So it's just, I think that's the rule, is that you have to be black.
Right. He's just repeating what he heard on the most recent Lil Wayne song or something like that.
I think the cat just hears his daddy saying it so much, she just learned to say it, to be honest. Oh, I love that cat. I wish I had a cat that said in my house. That'd be freaking dope. Everyone would be like, your cat's rude. Your cat's a racist. And then I would be like, this is Merca. Free speech. Free speech for cats. Okay? You can say whatever they want. I don't care what color they are. Cats are allowed to say whatever's on their mind because it's juicy. They're always planning on taking over the world, man. If you could know what cat was thinking, you would never stop it from talking. Cats look so diabolical.
If it's a song lyric, you can get away with it.
Is this cat racist?
See, I love that cat. That cat should be put on a rap song. Okay. So back to the ostrich. We're going to learn how to fuck an ostrich, folks.
When I woke up today, this is the first thing I saw.
From the eyes of a bee. Look at that meme, brother.
Fuck a ostrich nigga, fuck a ostrich nigga, I don't fuck with them no more. Nah, I don't, what don't. I never leave my house unlocked. I always walk around with a Glock. In case the ostrich wanna come on my block. Then a ostrich nigga gonna get shot.
Hey.
Ostrich niggas run too quick. And who's to say the homie won't pull some shit? The nigga got a powerful kick. And I know the niggas like to travel in cliques. Tell them I got nothing to lose. These hood ass birds about to pay their dues. Finna grab my bat and take a swing or two. To the neck and all the homies finna sing the blues. I ain't afraid of no bird ass nigga trying to scope my shit. Cause when they heard my trigger, better hope they dip. 40 miles an hour on my dick. I got a whip it, I'll get your ass hit with the flick of a wrist. I check my dose compulsive, making sure I locked it.
Oh my
Fuck
god, I love
ostrich,
the
nigga.
creativeness. But like, what the hell happened to make him write a whole ass song about fucking fuck ostriches? Like, where did he have this encounter with the ostrich? Like, it seems like he got mugged by the ostrich or something, and then the ostrich like stomped him out, and then like probably slammed his head down on his back, then put his foot on his back and flapped his wings really hard at him. Because he seems like he genuinely got assaulted by ostrich. Which I have to say, did not tell y'all about that hobby farm. Ostriches are dicks. Just saying. Really though, I would fantasize about shooting the emu, the ostrich, and most of all, the peacock that was on our property. Peacock, if you have misophonia, don't get a peacock. But ostriches, emus, peacocks, they are badasses because they will not run from a predator. They will stomp it out and scream bloody murder. And so we had, peacock with our chickens. To protect the chickens, and then the emus or the ostrich is going to be with like your sheep and goats. Donkey to have with your horses, and then you have your some sort of American breed dog, preferably, for your farm to protect all of them. So geez, but yeah, damn, ostrich got a bad rap. I love the slow motion walking ostrich in the background through that one line. The ostrich was like, "I'm watching you." All right. Oh, you've heard me yarp and yarp, harp and harp on the Jehovah's Witnesses, but come on now. The problem with Jehovah's Witnesses are as follows. Okay. He was on Sean Ryan. So, let's just watch. I cannot believe I didn't know about this episode from Sean Ryan. I didn't know he did one on Jehovah's Witnesses back last December.
In my opinion, the Jehovah's Witnesses continue to be a destructive authoritarian organization. They still have practices such as their encouragement of their members not to have blood transfusions, which results in deaths every year.
That's not entirely accurate. They tell you you're not allowed to get one. If you get one, you're condemned the second death, which is ceasing to exist. No resurrection for you because blood is sacred and you will never be treated the same among the flock. That is one of the reasons why I left, because I would not refuse my kids a blood transfusion if they needed it. However, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to tell you about an experience I had with my father who lost 4 fifths of his blood in the bathroom as a Jehovah's Witness and lived to tell about it. But it's not entirely inaccurate, the reasons why you wouldn't want a blood transfusion. And there are many, many other options. Not many, many. I'll give a handful of other options, okay? That is safer because blood transfusions in general are risky. That's a fact. It has your DNA in it. Your body automatically recognizes it as an alien invader, which is the same exact reason why your body never accepts a heart. Interestingly enough, There's a bundle of nerves at the bottom of your heart that goes straight back to the area of your brain where we process emotional issues. And there have been reports of people with heart transplants that have had a new set of emotions, sometimes memory being altered a little bit. But blood is essentially a very dirty substance, and also it's incredibly alien. To when you get one. So your body immediately sees the DNA code of somebody else. And so let's just get into it.
But today, if you leave the witnesses, and about 50% of the young people that are raised witnesses will eventually leave, you may be cut off by your family. And they have a practice called disfellowshipping or shunning.
Yep.
And if
first time I left, I was 21. I disassociated myself because of how they treated me over getting pregnant, unwed. Then I went back. I groveled so I could have my family back because I was a single mom for the first time in my life at 21. Then I got disfellowshipped for something I didn't even do. But because it is authoritarian, part of the NWO, who was complaining about me was a man, because I didn't give him the attention he wanted. So instead he made it like I gave him all the attention. And I had 4 people speak for me that said nothing happened, and they still disfellowshipped me. Why? Because my cousin married the boy who molested me, whose family is very high up. And she tattled on me as well. She's a fucking snitch. She told me when I got my first tattoo, this girl was having sex before marriage by 5th grade. I kept all her secrets. But that's what happens when women see other women that are more beautiful than them, especially in the same family. And my family as a Garner was more prominent than hers. And so she needed to take me out. Okay?
if you leave and they announce that you have been disfellowshipped, your family may shun you. In my opinion, the Jehovah's Witnesses continue to be a
They will. Anyone who doesn't shun is very aware of the lies within it and is a very on the skirts Jehovah's Witness. They do the bare minimum so they don't get shunned. Usually, we have code words like a PME, physically in, mentally in. You're all in with it. You believe it all. You're giving it your best effort. Then we have the PMOs, so physically in, mentally out. So those are the people physically in, mentally out. They won't shun you. They'll hide it in front of other people. And then you have your POMOs, which is me. Physically out, mentally out. And it is one of the most psychologically abusive things. It's probably the most abusive thing I've ever been through, even more so than being molested 4 times in that organization. Having my family completely throw me away like a piece of trash, and then my mother keep it a gigantic secret that she caught her Bible studies 18-year-old daughter molesting me on a bed when I was 4. She kept that secret, and I had to deal with the cost of that through my entire life. And then by the time I opened up my mouth, I was 24 years old after my son died. And doing that even caused people to abandon me, because it was my fault that happened. As a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 12-year-old. It was my fault. I was the Jezebel that weakened their sexual urges. Now, 3 of those people were women that did that to me. The first one was. The next one was a boy who was 3 years older than me. and then the next two were females. And in the UK, okay, I think the Netherlands specifically, they're not allowing the Jehovah's Witnesses to baptize anybody anymore or perform weddings anymore, because they allow you to get baptized, right, as a minor. Well, once you're baptized in public view, publicly declaring your servitude to Jehovah as a lifetime servant, Yahweh, by the way, the God of the Hebrews, when you get to, if you sin, right, as a minor, and the elder body doesn't feel that you're repentant, and you're baptized, and let's say you're like 12 or 13. There's been some as young as 7, 6, 5. They're not getting baptized because they made a commitment in their heart, because that religion truly called to them, because that religion does something for them that keeps them moral. It's because they're trying to please their parents. But the Netherlands doesn't. Cheers, folks. Do you like my Trump glass? I don't know if you can see it with the wine in it, but because the letters are words. But I got this at the Trump International in Vegas when I went to a conservative planning conference, which was quite an experience. But they don't allow them to baptize them, because once they start getting shunned as a minor, it is now considered child abuse. Thank God. This is the glass. It's so beautiful. I wish it came through on camera, but nothing is as beautiful on screen as it is in person. But there we go. Isn't that pretty? So you can't put it in the dishwasher because it will erode the brass that they put on there, but yeah, it's really beautiful. It's like a like a tumbler whiskey, I guess, like whiskey glass. But yeah, so I was really happy to hear that they kind of outlawed the Jehovah's Witnesses from being able to perform marriages and baptisms. Now, I will say this, there are certain people that I know that left the Jehovah's Witness organization and then went back to it. Like my, I'm not going to I almost threw a name out. I'm not going to do that. But I have a childhood friend who lives in Tennessee, but he needed that really strict structure because of addiction. So if it makes him be a better human being, then who am I to say don't do it? Same thing with one of my cousins who's now died of hepatitis because he was a heavy drug addict. But, he went back to it because it kept him within bounds. So let me just go ahead and look at the chat. I see Pavan. I see Deborah. I see Geopolitics, Susie Q. Some Bihaya, David. Hopefully, guys, the more this live catches on, hopefully the more you guys stick with me on it. Okay, so let me just continue. I think it finished, but I'm going to go back and watch that episode. I'm so pleased that he did an episode. I found Sean Ryan through my husband Ryan after I did a DMT ceremony breakthrough, and it was my third one. At this time of my life, I was going through a lot of loss, and I was going through a lot with my spiritual growth. And so I wasn't doing this like drugs. This was like a scheduled event. And the third time I had a breakthrough, I met God. And through what I was saying through my breakthrough, my husband was Googling like the keywords, and then Sean Ryan came up because he met God in a DMT breakthrough. And it was a lot of the same descriptor words, which was cool to find because it validated that it wasn't in my head, Collective consciousness, collective soul. Check that band out, y'all. If you don't know who Collective Soul is, you are missing out. Collective Soul is the shit. Okay, so it's all about reaction time, folks. Here we go. She was already so. Look, if only robbers were so polite. Look, my house is set up booby trapped. You will be fucked if you ever think about breaking into my house. I'm not going to tell you my business because then you would plan for it. But don't try to come in my house. There are about 8 ways you can get fucked within about 10 seconds. I promise you. That reaction time, maybe, I'm going to play this again. Anybody see why this reaction time? This is funny. This is cute. I'm just being sassy, okay? So don't hate. I love everybody, and I don't have any fat phobias. Actually, I think a little chunk is okay. Gotta let it start back over. It's just so funny watching her roll out of it. Bang! She went. Yeah, I got my bat. She's so cute. I love the head throw. She's so cute. But this is why, and I'm not hating on her, folks, okay? This is not to hate on her. This is because my mind works a certain way, and I'm always thinking about what I know is inevitable. It's important to get in shape if you're not, because the next 20 years is going to be crucial. And if you're not in shape, you'll die first. Just saying. You could be too skinny, too fat. Get in shape. Be a machine that is built to protect your resources and those you love. You are going to need it. Get in the gym. Get healthy. Detox. Fill yourself up. Do not eat anything that's brown, beige food. Don't do it. Don't eat anything that comes in a package. Like, I'm not saying that I don't, but I, for the most part, prefer real food. So if it doesn't walk around before it ends up on my plate, or if it's not growing out of the ground, I'm generally not trying to eat it. But look at her little reaction time, folks. Like, you need to get in shape. Your life could depend on it, even if it was a natural disaster. Like, it's not like about fat shaming. It's about being healthy. And those eras of, in the last 10 years, 15 years, we kept hearing about, I'm beautiful anyway, and I'm proud of my blah, blah. It's not okay to be promoting obesity, because that is the number one killer of, like, the West, is, like, obesity. And if you're obese, you're slow, you don't live long, they want to come get you, they're going to get you easy. So put the processed foods down, put the fake dyes down, put the artificial flavors and sweeteners and colors down. Go into the gym. Even if you don't want to go to the gym, just like seriously, just learning to run a quarter mile as fast as you can and condition your cardiac response. Even if you can't do anything else, just focus on that cardiac endurance. Because what if they want to implant us with a chip and start making everything digital, absolutely everything? What if you start getting hunted down by drones, like what's happening in Russia and in Ukraine and Gaza? What is your slow, fat ass going to do when a drone is chasing you? Not shit. You ain't even got nowhere to hide. Now your options to hide are reduced. And this is about physical superiorness. Listen to Pete Hegseth. You guys think he's being freaking... Y'all are ridiculous. You guys want the West constructed around weakness. And it's literally what the other countries wanted you to think. That's why they sent them all here to flood our freaking streets with their people and make our people subservient, fat, unhealthy, and dead. So literally my mind is always like, what if I needed to run? What if war broke out? What if a man tries to rape me in the gas station? Would I be able to endure the fight as long as I need to? I'm just saying. Look at these guns, bitches. Wow. And that's not even, I haven't been in the gym in, when's the last time I went to the gym with you? A year? It's been a year. That's that. Look at that. Rock hard. That's that Nigerian genes, baby. I'm proud of my African descendants, my African ancestors. I feel them. I feel them in my bones. Yeah, reduce your reaction time, folks. But no, get your hearts healthy for real, seriously. Did you know printers hate us? They're on a vendetta to ruin our lives. Printers.
For the past 5 fucking years. I'm sorry, what is your problem? Stop fucking touching me. I'm also out of every single shade of ink.
I wonder why TikTok is sucking. I wonder why. Nope. Well, because the Zionists don't run Instagram. You know? The Zionists run...
Absolutely the fuck not. I'm actually going to disconnect from the same Wi-Fi network that I've been connected to for the past 5 fucking years. No.
Oh, it starts that
Absolutely
way.
the fuck not. I'm actually going to disconnect from the same Wi-Fi network that I've been connected to for the past 5 fucking years. I'm sorry, what is your problem? Stop fucking touching me. I'm also out of every single shade of ink. Except for magenta. This is my year setting boundaries and I'm not going to connect to your Bluetooth. Oh, you like really need to print your resume? Have you tried dying in a hole? No. Absolutely the fuck not. I'm actually going to disconnect from the same Wi-Fi network.
Funny story. I had a business that did okay for a while because of how bad and notorious printers are. They're just like out to get us. But my business, you know, I had to hire a lot of Indians, which are the other third of my people, those conniving motherfuckers. They literally started stealing my customers' freaking credit cards and doing the same shit you see on the there's a channel on here I run into with this guy who like hacks into their webcams, scamming the scammers. That is literally what I had to do when I started realizing that my admin was leading an entire scammy network. Scamming all people. You want to talk about being scared and like having to clean up real fast and make sure that you aren't caught up in abusing old people's bank accounts? Dude, India, man, the ethics there. Like, y'all have the potential to be, well, you were at one point, like, amazing. My family that's Indian were Sikh, okay? They're spiritual warriors. Like I told you the other night, all my ancestors are warriors. I'm very proud of that. But the modern culture over there, oh my God. They're pacifists, so like their crime consists of conning you. They're really good at theft and just like the Asians, you know, with their computer shit, man. They just like know how to hack into everything. But that was a mess. And yeah, so I still have everything frozen there just in case, you know, something happens. I can like provide the proof. Y'all, we went berserk on this guy. Like, we reverse hacked everything on him, screwed up his entire, we found his portfolio of like all the people he's like siphoning money out of, and like his like, it's not QuickBooks, it's whatever the Indian version is, or a company that's India friendly, because after doing business in India, I have realized now, I was ignorant to this before, but there's a lot of companies that won't do business with India. But we found his portfolio. We changed his passwords. We deleted his routing numbers. We just fucked around with everything. And it was kind of funny, like the way he was acting. He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You got the free printer out of this. Like, actually, it was really kind of funny. I got a printer show up at my house one day. It was supposed to go to one of his partners in crime. So I got the printer. So my printer that I have now, that's chronically out of ink because HP printers literally have like the smallest fucking ink wells. It tells me it's low on ink always, only after like a week. After printing like 3 documents, it's low on ink. I don't like HP. I think they suck. I think you should just go with off-brands. Go with somebody who like cares about volume over, whatever. I don't know, man. Fuck printers. I feel the same. Like, I always have problems. I've had like 12 printers in my life because eventually you just get to where you're just like, I've had problems with this so long that now things only worth $20. Just trash it. Buy a new one. Printers are cheap anyway now, so fuck the printers. Dude, the printer ink for my printer costs $85. And the generic ink is only $15 less. $85. And it's only getting worse. But back to the topic of dogs. We really don't deserve them, and they're too good for us.
She just takes that dog, but she never takes more than 10 or 15 minutes. It's almost an hour now. It's over an hour now.
Okay, do you know what breed the dog is?
The dog
Hold on, I couldn't hear him.
He's
Start
just
that over.
100. He just takes that dog, but she never takes more than 10 or 15 minutes. It's almost an hour now.
So what it sounds like is some woman's missing or gone too long and has the dog too. Okay, his wife has been gone for over an hour walking the dog.
It's over an hour now.
Okay, do you know what breed the dog is?
The dog's just he's just 100-pound dog.
A Georgia day.
What happened? So cute. He's like, do you know what breed the dog is? He's just 100-pound dog. Oh my
that
God.
Dog.
Just 100-pound dog. Old people are so cute. I love them so much. I do actually. Most of my like really good friends are much older than me because I don't know. I just really admire and respect like the fact that if you're old like this man, a red carpet needs to be rolled out in front of you everywhere you go because you're a fucking gangster, man. You just beat the odds. Like, because life is fragile. You beat all the odds. Like, and you're still here. But he sounds so concerned.
But she never takes more than 10 or 15 minutes. It's almost an hour now. It's over an hour now.
Okay, do you know what breed the dog is?
The dog's just he's just 100-pound dog.
Okay.
He's like, I don't know. It's just big. Oh, I miss my Dodge Charger, by the way. I mean...
Hi, baby!
I still miss my Charger. Durango.
Hi, baby! Where's your mama?
Oh,
hi! Hi, where's your mama? Where's your mommy?
The dog's gonna lead her to the mama.
Mama, where's your mama?
Look.
Tell me where mama is.
He's like, over here.
Show me.
I'm gonna cry. No, I'm gonna cry.
Ma'am? I've got you, ma'am. 322, I've located her. Oh, hey, man, can you tell me what happened? Oh, can you tell me what happened? You okay?
That dog's been working. Look at him. He's panting.
Oh, 322
German
SO.
Shepherd
We have
mix.
EMS en route to the golf course.
She sounds like she's having a,
She's laying here on the sidewalk, alert and conscious, but she may have injured herself.
No, but she sounds confused.
Oh, 322 SO. 322, I've located her. Oh, hey, man, can you tell me what happened? Oh, can you tell me what happened? Ma'am? I've got you, ma'am. 322, I've located her. Oh, hey man, can you tell me what happened? Oh,
She fell.
You okay?
Something's broke. You can hear that.
Oh, 322 SO.
She
Can you have
can't
EMS en route to the golf course? She's laying here on the sidewalk, alert and conscious, but she may have injured herself.
Where were you when found you?
I was in front of that house right there. And then the dog ran up to me.
Look at him laying down. He's exhausted.
Ma'am?
Ah! Damn it. Sorry, folks. That dog is exhausted. He's been looking for help for a while. You hear him panting?
322, I've located her. Oh, hey man, can you tell me what happened? Oh, can you tell me what happened? Are you okay? Oh, 322 SO. Can you have EMS en route to the golf course? She's laying here on the sidewalk, alert and conscious, but she may have injured herself.
Where were you when found you?
I was in front of that house right there. And then the dog ran up to me. I was right out here.
And the dog brought you over?
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't leave. He kept coming back to me.
Aww.
He ran up to my car and I said, bring me to your mommy, and she ran back here.
He come up to your car?
Mm-hmm.
She's in disbelief.
Good boy.
Oh, sweetheart.
Good boy. Very good boy.
I'm not even his owner. I'm his grandmother.
Oh, you're such a good boy. You're so good. You're so good.
Oh, Eeyore, you're a good boy.
His name is
Grandma loves
Eeyore.
you.
Good boy, Eeyore.
How cute.
She just takes that dog, but she never takes more than 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, man, that's got me choked up. I had a dog do that with a cat. I couldn't find my cat. And the dogs walked me to the cat. And the cat was not my first cat, but my first cat that I picked out. Not a cat that my parents got for me. My cats kept getting eaten by coyotes and owls and hawks. And so this cat, she started out in the house, but she's a tortoiseshell calico, so she ended up outside. But she was happier outside. She lived 21 years in the Appalachian Hills where I lived. And she died of old age. Couldn't find her. And the dogs had found her, and you could see the swoosh marks on her fur where they were trying to like wake her up and lick her awake. And it's just like funny because the dogs would always chase her before that, you know, and it's just, you could see that at that moment, just that they understood everything that was going on. And it's just, I think, you know, nature / God, to me, that's one and the same, okay? But nature gave us dogs. Like, they knew we would need like a sidekick companion that would like never leave our side. And I've got one thing about my bullies, like, man, I'm telling you, they never leave your side. If I were to be alone in the house and fall, like, I know I would not, and like break my neck, I know I would not have to be alone until somebody came home, because my dogs are like, I love dogs. I can't imagine my life without a dog. I fantasize about my life without dogs because of the responsibilities, like having a toddler forever, a 4-year-old forever. But truly, I can't imagine my life without a dog, because I've always had dogs since birth, like farm life, bloodline dogs, like, you know, it's just kind of a thing. They're really like our, I don't know, they're kind of like our guardians, you know what I mean? We just really don't deserve them. And it really gets to me when I see dogs being treated wrongly, which, by the way, humanizing your dog is abuse. I'm just going to say it. You are not expecting your dog to have natural psychology, and you need to let your animal live as natural as possible and just be a dog. Like, yes, have boundaries. My breed gets told the word no like 60-40. Like, no is like a lot because they're stubborn, but it's that gene, that stubbornness, that I know I'm completely safe at home. Like, I know if someone were to break in, there's absolutely no way they're going to be able to convince that dog to get off of them. If I needed help, there's no way that dog would stop its mission. And there's just something about American breeds that really just like have my heart. That just was by coincidence. It wasn't like on purpose. I just kind of noticed through my life I really gravitate towards a lot of the American breeds because coincidentally they really have an American spirit. They're kind of unruly, independent, and smart, and curious, and vivacious, and dynamic. And you know, I've had the privilege in my life to see a couple times a dog lay its life down for someone, and it is quite an amazing thing to see because you can see it in the dog's face. It's knowing it's going to die. And, you know, it just makes you wish that there were more people like that. But, you know, I think our gift of advanced speech and thumbs, you know, can be such a gift, but also such a detriment because we don't know how to really listen. And yeah, dogs are honestly my, you know, probably like my spirit animal. I always kind of imagined that they were like other animals, but I kind of think it's a dog. And it's funny because you kind of pick the breeds that you're like the most like, right? And it's just kind of funny. Like, everything I fall in love with is a stubborn motherfucker and a pain in the goddamn ass, and I guess so am I. I can't have no bitch ass dog. If I have a small dog, it has to be like a tiny dog, like, so you know, I'm consciously aware of being delicate to it, and you know, like it's in my lap because I'm like so used to like working dogs. Like, you know, you saw these guns. I can't have no poodle. I'd traumatize a poodle. Dispute me. Women are just as skilled as men. Probably smarter too. God. In your hair. Paint thinner. I can relate to this because I do this dumb shit all the time. Like, it's really, honestly, it's an ADHD thing. My klutziness is also my ADHD. Like, we just like carry too many things in our hands as women with ADHD. We like do too much at one time because we're trying to make one pathway, one trip. And I've done stuff like that, like forgetting I just set something down, or putting my phone in the fridge, or like I have to like recite like over and over in my head. I have to like repeat what I'm doing. My friend Yasmin sent me like this hilarious video of like this woman running around holding her hand up saying waterfall, 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 waterfall. And the husband's like, why are you doing that? And she's like, so I don't forget. I have to go do this, but I'm saying waterfall, waterfall, waterfall. So that way, when I'm done doing this, I can remember what I was doing before. And then as she's passing by telling the husband this, she sees like 3 things on the counter she set out. And she's like, oh yeah, this reminds me that I need to talk to you. This. I don't have really, actually, I have ADD. But ADHD is, I said ADHD, I'm wrong. But like everybody else in my like household has ADHD. So like the hyperactive part, yeah, that kind of is, you don't slow down. Like, I can relate to it in the ways of like trying to carry too many things at once, or like I'm very like I like my environment to have breathing room. I need room to move. So if there's like stuff in my way, and just like every few feet there's just something I have to fight, like that's me. That's why I don't like clutter, because that's me. I will literally trip, drop, tear, fall through, stub, drop, all of it. So I need like clean, empty spaces so my mind doesn't get distracted. She, poor thing, went to go move the... I bet you she wasn't even painting, because if she moved the... I just clicked. What the hell just happened? She probably wasn't even painting. Her husband was probably painting, because, you know, if you're a good man, most men are doing like the heavy work and the women are doing the work that allows us to stay pretty. And she probably didn't know. She probably just assumed he put the paint away. And he didn't, because he probably has ADHD. And that's why we hear, Brad! And now they gotta repaint their deck. Her jeans are probably brand new. Her hoodie's fucked up. Oh my God, the hair though. Like, if my husband did, oh my God. I have, this is what I have learned with my husband's projects. I don't touch them or go near them. Because men just don't think like women. They just use one side of their brain at a time. It's probably the cruelest fucking joke on humanity to make us so different. But I get it, because guys have to be warriors. And if they use both sides of their brain, they're going to stop too long to think first. And then they'll just be like little scared bitches because they're thinking too much. And guys need to have that ability to like shut off the thinking ahead, you know what I mean, in order to go to war and protect you and your babies. So you have to fucking find a way to like be in civilized society, which is why I've advocated so hardcore for my family to move to the freaking woods, because everyone that I'm around me is surrounded by ADHD, and I think that if we live in freaking woods, it will be a lot better for everybody. I know it'll be better for me with my ADD. I think it would be a lot better because, you know, you're kind of forced to like simplify and like get to the point when you have like land or you live like off grid. My goal is to just totally get self-sustaining. Like, I don't even care. Like, I wouldn't care about painting anything. If I could redo and start over, I would actually build a yurt with like a moss roof, or into the side of a hill with a moss roof, because it's like natural insulation. I would do everything as natural as possible without electricity, and just kind of use tools that you have to use by hand, and you know, just like cut the creature comforts out, because it really just kind of does make your mind lazy, lackadaisical, and you forget how to focus. Because also we have everything's like instant gratification too. So I think, you know, living as natural as possible would cure a lot of mental health issues, like a lot, because we do not, when God created us, it was not with the intention to walk around with a fucking biometric device in your pocket. You know, we're so dependent on instant gratification. Now there's wonderful things that come out of the internet, like the fact that ChatGPT, if I'm like trying to figure out like why I have this white fuzz on this new plant that I'm trying to grow, ChatGPT helps me figure it out, because I don't know about plants a lot. That's my latest endeavor. I don't really know that. So I think technology helps, but like, damn, it's like that part. Like, she just should have checked over and done a scan on the ladder. Because obviously the ladder's there for a reason. Like, what were they doing? Like, and there goes the paint on her head. Y'all can't see this, but I keep looking at the freaking replay of the paint dripping on her hair. Because as a hairdresser, that is probably one of the most horrible situations to deal with, is paint in the hair. it can come off, but you have to go strand by strand, pulling the tube of paint off the hair. Like, it won't adhere. It forms like a casing. So you can get it out. Paint thinner first, or acetone, right? And then what doesn't come out, just pull it off like little tubes. But in that scenario, I probably would have just been like, what if we, like, rock you a little half-shaved head kind of thing? And then she would just get hated on for looking liberal. Which, by the way, I don't want to hear any shit out of my kid. We're artists in this house. My kid has, like, different colored hair. And sometimes I wear different colored hair. It doesn't mean I'm freaking liberal. And I hate that they ruined fun color hair for us. And piercings. That used to be a mark of, like, being a rocker. Being, like, tough. You know, and testosterone driven. Not being a liberal bitch. I hate what's happened. I think it's time for a little change of pace here. I think it's time for a dance break. Okay. I covered that song, and it was really amazing. But I love this guy. You know what I missed about my daddy so much? He was a dancer. He would snatch my mom up at the most inopportune times, like her hands in ground beef, and start dancing with her. And she'd be like, trying to dance, but her hands are like out like this, you know, because she can't touch them. And, you know, it was like my dad's little problem solving way of dealing with their relationship. And because my dad was a great dancer, and he's a good leader dancer. You kind of just couldn't help but fall in step with him because he just knew how to, like, make you move with him. And I just love seeing this. This is so cute. I love seeing white folks dance, like, without shame. Because, I mean, we all know, you know, us black folks, we got the gold medal on dance and music, you know. But when you see a white boy that can bust some moves with just like this without older folks cut loose, man. Especially like the 80-year-old grandmas, when they don't give no fucks no more, you know, and they can break through of their walker for a minute, you know. They're so cute. Look, Florida is such a great state to be in because, like, all ages is out together at a time. I have no problem going and dancing with an old fella. I love giving the old fellas special treatment. They deserve it. They beat the odds. All right. I love the title of this next one because it's our last video, but probably will get me on a tangent at 12 o'clock at night. Because Christianity is Christianity is just witchcraft reskinned. Don't shoot the messenger. Yeah.
Baby, if you didn't like me before, you ain't gonna like me after this.
I already know what he's gonna say because I've pointed this all out so many times every time I've had a Christian. A Catholic Christian in particular. They're the worst ones with this. I don't know, man. I got a scent on me. They smell me coming around the corner. Doesn't matter what I do. I'm exposed. Mind you, you judgmental hypocrites. I love Jesus. Jesus is my dude. Me and him are so much alike. It's ridiculous. I love that dude. All right.
I'm about to step on your toes, but that's all right.
Yes.
So let me tell you about Christianity. Christianity is just the Christianized, branded version of witchcraft.
Yes, because most of you don't even know what witchcraft is. You got taught. Actually, the word witch is not even a real word for the practice of this. That is a word made up by. Are you ready? Starts with a B, and they're Zionists. And it ends with a Vix. You know, Bolsheviks. I'm just gonna let it play. I'm dying. I'm dying because. Okay, I'm just gonna let it play.
With a church filter on it. So witchcraft, by definition, is just using spiritual power, intentions, and words to shift reality.
Prayer.
That's called divination, summoning, and manifestation. Now tell me if that don't sound familiar.
I haven't even seen this video yet.
Same exact thing. They just changed the name. Prayer.
Oh, what I fucking tell you, folks. Oh, and you're counting on rosary beads? How many times are you supposed to do that one? How many times were you supposed to say your rosary? Why that number? Why that number? Did you ever think about it, folks? Why did the Catholic Church make the Bible written in Latin? So they can translate for you? So then it made it easy for King James to just slide in and like find the perfect way between the Catholic Church and the Protestants to keep you from hearing the voice of God, to keep you from being connected to the all, the everything, the universe, the divine, the infinity. Just saying. The Holy Spirit.
That's their work. Mm-hmm. You're speaking words with belief to make
Vibration.
Something happen.
In the beginning was the Word.
In the name of Jesus is an incantation.
It's going to take me forever to get through this video. He is 100% on fucking point, and I love that this is a brother doing this too. Because, yes, when you say amen, that is mathematical. Uh-oh. I lost my camera, folks, because I'm slamming on the desk. See, I'm about to get fired up because I've been persecuted. This thing isn't going to stay. Ryan, you might have to fix this. It's leaning really hard and I can't get it to stay put. I've been persecuted by Christians because apparently they can smell my connection to the divine. They can sense that I have Holy Spirit talking to me at 24/7.
Using a little verbal sigil at the end. Anointing oil and holy water are consecrated tools.
Yes.
Somebody blessed them. Somebody charged them up.
Yes.
And now they hold power. Does that sound familiar?
Get them, boy.
Grandma with the anointing oil. Prophecy. That's divination. Visions, dreams, messages.
How do you think the Bible writers were able to talk to Holy Spirit to write the Bible? See, the world of Christendom and the Pope who leads it all doesn't want you hearing the voice of the Holy Spirit. Let's talk about it in science terms. Psych terms. The power of manifestation. See, I spent a month in a sports psychology class that I thought I was going to hate, that I ended up fucking loving, because the Dallas Cowboys, the New England Patriots, the Alabama college sport team, freaking Roll Tide. But what's the name of their team? Crimson Tide. There's a few others. Those coaches that went down in history for all those wins, they had their teams meditate before they went out on the game. What were they meditating on? They were having them meditate on winning, picturing in their head over and over that they would win the game, baby. What happens next? This is fucking science. The body follows the mind because you just programmed your body to be a winner. Okay? You just told your body to be a winner. So what it tells you is mind over body. That's the order of hierarchy. The mind is the most powerful thing in the universe. It is your radio to the collective consciousness, the all in the divine and the Holy Spirit. So if you sit and you manifest, you imagine yourself winning, your body's going to go out and behave like a winner. So you just manifested that win. You did it all by yourself with your spiritual faculties, knowing and understanding the mind as a receiver, okay? Because Our body is just a vessel for the conscious realm.
Same energy, different title. Calling on angels, saints, or the blood of Jesus. That's called summoning.
Boom.
You're calling a spirit to come and handle business for you.
Oh my God, I love
All
you.
right, what about communion? That's called ritual consumption, where you're literally taking on the energy of a divine being through a symbol in which is ingested.
Yep.
Witches have been doing that forever. Well, baptism, we got that.
Yep.
Well, that's called spiritual cleansing.
Yes.
It's using water to wash off old energy.
I keep telling you, God is found in nature. Water always represents fluidity, persistence, and cleansing.
And place you into a new vibration. Well, what about the tithes and the offerings? That's called energy exchange.
Yes.
Giving something physical to unlock spiritual flow.
Yep.
Every practitioner knows.
That is like when you see a witch say, oh, you do your spell, put a piece of gratitude, give the divine or whatever spirits the divine use to help you your best wine or whiskey, light some incense, put some money on there, like show gratitude. It's a representation. It's the physical manifestation of the representation that you are willing to sacrifice for the sake of the goal. Do you want me to say this? Okay. Yay. But this is freaking, oh my God, I love him so much.
That's basic law, the law of give and take, reciprocity.
Yes, the law of reciprocity.
Elevation.
There's a book about Hermetic code that you really need to read if you want to understand Christianity. It is actually the basis to understand Christianity, Islam, and Muslim and Hinduism. So look up the what? My light is flickering in my office. Okay. I told you guys I was spiritually connected since birth. My lights haven't flickered in my house in a really long time after my cousin moved out. There was a reason for that. And my light to my left, I wish you guys could see this. I can show you on camera too. Hopefully you can pick this up. There it goes. Did you see that? Look at the wall. Look. That light, folks, has never flickered. That has always been one of the communications I get from Divine, that I am on the right path and that I am fucking nailing it. My daddy passed away a year ago. And he's always right there to my left. Anyway, let's go.
Consecration services. Baby, that's initiation. You're being spiritually crowned, leveled up, and charged with new authority. What about the visitation of the Holy Ghost? Baby, that's called invocation. You're calling on a whole spirit to come down and move through your body. Y'all falling out speaking in tongues. Baby, you've been conjuring spirits. And resurrection. Baby, that's called transformation magic or necromancy at the highest level to bring life where death used to be. That's called alchemy.
And your Savior, our Savior, Jesus Christ, is the king of necromancy. He's the key to raising the dead.
And even
why is that? Because he sacrificed his life. That's why he has that key.
Name it, claim it, speak it into existence. Walk by faith and not by sight. Baby, that is manifestation.
Yeah.
It's the same spiritual mechanics.
It is.
With intention, energy, words, and belief.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about the word holy for a second. Because outside of the church, holy just means sacred, set apart, spiritually pure.
Yes.
Every culture, every spiritual system or practice has got something that's holy. A sacred space, a blessed object, a ritual moment. It is not unique to Christianity.
Nope.
It is universal.
Yes.
They just rebranded the concept and made it seem like their version counts. The only real difference between witchcraft and Christianity is branding. One calls it a miracle, the other calls it magic. But baby, it's the same exact energy. And here's the real gag. It's not just witches doing witchcraft. It's been the Christians the whole time. They just got
time. The whole time. Because Muslims don't do this. I mean, they pray and everything. But, you read Jesus' account, and there's so many moments where I'm like, that sounds like witchcraft. That sounds like a potion. Do you remember when Jesus spit into dirt, right? And made a paste, a salve, and put it on the blind man's eye and said, you can see again? That's a potion. Okay? Like, there's so many clues in the Bible where Jesus is showing you exactly how to be close to God. And the church made you afraid of connecting to God on a spiritual level. Truly a one-on-one connection to God, direct connection to God between you and God. They wanted that severed so they can control and lie to you. And they disguised it as witchcraft. Don't make potions. Don't participate in alchemy. Don't look for omens. Don't do that. God communicates to literally every other living creature through nature. You can see animals responding to God. How are we the only ones who have to go through another fellow man, right, to know if we got approval from God or got an answer to our prayers? No. You have every right to have that access, actually. You have direct access to the divine himself. It's called prayer. You can ask for anything. Doesn't mean you're going to get what you want. You don't have to say prayers. When they tell you to say a certain prayer, like this line, read this line, read this line, read that line, read that line, say this particular prayer, that's a spell. Now, when you're talking to God free form, that is prayer. When you're confiding, walking lockstep with God requires being able to feel God's presence at all times and knowing how God communicates to you, and no one will ever be able to screw you over ever again. If you want to learn how to talk to God and hear God, do everything the Bible in the first half of the Bible says not to do. Oh, funny. Who were the ones that told us witchcraft was bad in the Old Testament? The Zionists. Meanwhile, Israel's over there every 2 years sacrificing a red heifer on a blood moon. Interesting. In the first half of the Bible, they vilify. Oh, by the way, remember the 3 travelers that came to meet Jesus when he was born to give the gifts? They followed a star. Bible. Then later they tell you don't look for omens in the stars. It's hypocritical. It's freaking totally hypocritical. And in fact, most of you practice magic without even knowing it because it is buried into your nature. It is buried into your soul. It is what is natural. Magic is a old word before modern science to explain what science at the time couldn't explain. They used that word magic. But what is proven to be true is that when you start studying quantum physics, magic is not a real concept. It's quantum physics. It's working. I'm going to read this. I love the quote that says something like, witches call it spells, Christians call it prayer, spiritualists call it manifestation, atheists call it the placebo effect, scientists call it quantum physics. Everyone's arguing over its name, but no one is denying its existence. So how about you guys stop judging each other and start to recognize the one thread among all of us, and that's what we all love something, and that's being connected to what is holy and spiritual. Yeshua was trying to tell everyone the kingdom is within you. Meditate and pray, people. God is right here. You have power in your fingertips. If you need something, let me tell you something. Oh, yeah. Good point. The Book of Psalms. It's a book of spells. Read it. The whole point to this invention of the word witchcraft is to make you afraid of behaving in a way that syncs you up with the vibration. Vroom, 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 vroom. The entire universe. We got satellites out in space right now that can hear the vibration of the universe, right? That vroom, 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 vroom. That connection. They want you deaf to it. They want you deaf to it. Because once you do that, you don't need to turn to government daddy. You don't need to turn to Rabbi so-and-so. You don't need to turn to Pastor so-and-so. You don't need to go say 10 Hail Marys. Because you're in a direct line of communication with the Almighty, the Divine, who has your motherfucking back and only cares about the divine purpose and how you play into that. And the divine purpose is love. That is it. That is it. It's no more, no less. Evil will always be here. It has to be so you can define good. Wickedness is a different thing. It's a different construct. That's era. That is defined by eras. There's so much I can say on this. Like, the thoughts are coming like 1,000 miles. Catholicism, I've always said, was the cult of Christianity. Originally, the rituals, the outfits, the red. To me, with Catholicism, it's like, kind of looks like the bad guy. I might be trying to go back down, try to be the good guy. But, like, if you actually kind of look at it, you know, there's a comment on here, especially Catholicism, the rituals, the outfits, working through saints, prayers, candles, raised Catholic and knowledge. It was an easy pipeline. She's saying it was a seamless transition because everything is so ritualistic, idolistic. They use idols, which the Bible condemns in the first half of the Bible. Okay. Catholics are huge on their symbolism. All right. There's another girl, Witch Way. Hi, Witch here. If you want to see some real witchcraft, hang out with the Amish. Visit their stores. Everything I've ever needed for spells and rituals. Literally, it's just being connected and dependent on nature and living with nature as one. That is all what the quote-unquote witchcraft word means. It's not demonism. That is the occult. Root word being cult. Let's not talk about how communication is an entire ritual, blood and body, communion, wine and crackers. That whole thing, eating the bread, drinking the wine, that's communion. But back to the point I was making before, what did I just say right before you made me read that? What was I saying when you told me to look at that? Being connected to nature. Being connected to nature. Don't get my attention in the middle of a thought because it just completely derails me. Like, wait till I'm done to direct me to something. That would be much more helpful. Oh, there we go. The 3 wise men were literally astrologers, magi, and miracles all throughout the Bible. But you're not allowed to do it. Only the priests. Only them. They're allowed to tell you that God told them you're forgiven. Oh, same thing with my religion, my Judeo-Christian. Go in the back room with the elders. They have to pray for you and your sin on your behalf. You're not allowed to go to God and pray about your sin. They got to do it on your behalf. I don't fucking think so. There is nobody, okay, on this planet that determines your worth to God. Only you. And you know it in your soul and in your gut. You know by yourself if you have a good relationship with the universe, the divine, the all, God Almighty, the creator of all the lesser gods who should be thankful to the divine that they exist because they're a product of our 3D world. See, we're talking about 5D concepts, 5th dimensional concepts, okay? That the skull and crossbones, New World Order, and the harlot who rides the beast doesn't want you to know vilify the thing that can keep them most connected to God. By the way, did you know there are Christian witches? Did you know there are Christo-pagans? Did you know that? But you didn't know that. That is people who recognize the divinity of Jesus Christ, but they also recognize the divinity of other ascended leaders because they understand one thing that the Catholic Church tried to confuse you on, and that's the Trinity. There is a real Trinity, but it's not what they've told you it is. They've tried to convince you, okay, that Jesus is God. It's so confusing, right? Like, okay, if Jesus was God, okay, this is how I go through it with people. Can God die? They say no. Did Jesus die? They say yes. Is Jesus God? They say yes. Then I ask, then did Jesus really die? How can you answer that? And if God can't die, therefore, Jesus didn't really die if he's the Almighty. Jesus didn't really die. Therefore, the sacrifice is invalid and obsolete. The only way for Jesus' sacrifice on the cross or the stake to matter was that he had to die. And if God did die, right? Okay, let's stick with it. Jesus is God. Jesus did die and God did die. How the fuck did God resurrect himself if he died? This is one of the tactics they get you all confused on to understand how to connect to God and hear God. Jesus showed you he is not the divine, the almighty, the creator of everything. He did become a God. He inhabited a body. He was just like many of us before we inhabited our meat suit, a spirit in the ether. It is also possible that divine just simply manifested itself into physical form specifically for one job. It is also possible and much more likely that the Virgin Mary was artificially inseminated by aliens. Because when you look at the descriptions in the Bible about the golden chariots they see come from the heavens, it sounds a lot like what the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Shintoists, the Taoists, all describe as something, some sort of like alien creature coming from the heavens, right? I've had virgin dogs. My oldest dog has never bred with a male and has had 3 litters. How did that happen? Artificial insemination. It is plainly in your sight how all these things can happen, and there's a scientific explanation for every miracle in the Bible because God himself, the Almighty, the divine, nature cannot break its own laws of physics. We're inside the 3D realm. The divine comes down to manifest Jesus on the 3D plane, the 3rd dimension. It has to use the laws of nature, the laws of physics of the 3rd dimension to make all these quote unquote miracles, which is also another old word like the word magic, happen. But for most of the miracles that have happened in the Bible, we have found a scientific explanation. But when you pray, right, and you need something, and you don't show your gratitude, does your prayer get answered? Does your petition get answered without the offering? Remember, you Bible readers, I'm a Bible reader. Remember, in the first half of the Bible, in the Hebrew times, they had to give a sacrifice to the lesser God, Yahweh, not the divine, Yahweh. Okay? You had to give a sacrifice. You have to give thanks. You cannot pray to God without giving gratitude for everything you absolutely have. Already you are on this side of the ground, and the mere odds that you exist are slim to none. And you matter. You matter. So how can you have a truly happy life? How do I get through all this bullshit in my life? I talk to God on a constant basis. It's a running program constantly in my mind. How do I deal with my daughter being gone? How am I able to cry about it and say how much it hurts, but yet also say this is a spiritual problem and her higher powers got her back? That's why. Because I have God sitting here saying, I know you're in pain and I see you crying. It's just not time yet. Because right now you're too angry. But don't sit and do nothing. I will find out what I need to find out about my daughter when I need to in divine time, but not by doing nothing. See, it's a calling. Talk to God. Don't let anybody talk. If you see a sign, if you see a blue robin land on your fence and you just have that instant thought, oh, that's so-and-so who died, or that's a sign from blah, blah. Trust it. You're not practicing anything ridiculous. Think about, so there were some kids that were making fun of some prophets and somehow a bear just knew to go rip off their heads. If that animal has that connection to God, don't you think you do too? And you've just been taught not to hear it? And maybe that could be responsible for the rise in mental health issues, psychological diagnoses. Because you forgot that God's sitting right here, right under your sternum, waiting for access to your computer up in the hardest part of your body. Let it flow. Do what's natural. Your natural rights. Free agency. I'm not discounting the divinity of Christ and the fact that his message is law, because Christ is king. He is the king of our modern day, and we need him more now than ever. So don't get me fucked up. I very much so have always felt the calling to continuously untangle the mess that's happened in Christianity. See, that it was so powerful. Look at how you don't see that with Muslim. Like, you don't see that with Islam. You see Muslims, you see like, there's not very many sects of like Islam. Like, how many Christian religions are there? How many sects of Christianity are there? I mean, good Lord. They did a good job getting you to not talk to God, making you able to miss the signs. God's talking to you all the time. You just don't know how to see it because they made you scared of it. Why would he create all of this to look at? Why would he make your eyeballs able to see color if he didn't want you to appreciate beauty, if he didn't want you to explore? Why would everything be the way it is if there isn't messages in it? What's the point? It's no point. None of it. It's all for the purpose of observation and experiencing the beauty of consciousness. So tap into it. Tap into consciousness. That's all it is. Consciousness. There's a comment on the channel. It says King James wrote a book called Demonology for the Witches before he was king. Then he, narcissistic ego, wanted control, so he gave them God spells. So, doing a bit of historical research outside of the U.S., maybe start researching Egypt, which will lead you to Babylon, which will lead you to Samaria, which will lead you to the Aztecs, which will lead you to a lot of tribal people that say a lot of similar things that are written in the Bible, and then you start to see how their stories are consistent, but then our Bible has like these very different gaps, which really have nothing to do with how like loved you are by God, but more so about proving to other members of the church how spiritual you are. One of the first real witch party I ever attended was put together by a devout Christian woman. She also worked as a spiritual practitioner and gave us all the Psalms to use for magic. Your Bible literally is like the most powerful spell book. So stop letting them make you afraid of what is spiritual and what is magical. You are a human being set different from the animals. Why do we have this level of consciousness? to not have an open line of communication to divine, to manifest what you need. Health, wealth, power. Health, solitude, freedom. Babies, husband, pets. Shelter, clothing, food. I could go on. I should probably make a whole other episode about this, but it's 12:38 and it's that time for me to knock off. So I really appreciate you hanging in there with me, with my most humblest apologies to anybody I may have pissed off. I'm not here to please you. I'm very good with me and God and Jesus Christ, and I'm just been following a calling to help wake people up. And part of that tentacle is religiously as well. And it's realizing that we need to decalcify our pineal glands so we can see and hear what we were naturally meant to see and hear. Just as instinctually as any whale who can feel the magnetic fields of the earth and can follow the migrational paths. Like, you have that in you. You know, it's called your psychic powers. What is psychology? Psychology. What's the root word? Psych. What does that mean? That is a Greek word for spirit. Ology. The suffix. The study of. So the word psychology is the study of the spirit. All right, I'm going to get off. Going to go pray now for turning a bunch of you into witch Jezebels, waking you up and breaking you from the system. On that note, just so you guys aren't confused, Christ is King. God bless. Good night.